Justin, can you hear me?
Yep. What's up?
Cool, bro. Not much.
Look at that. Look at that scenery behind you. That's
Eh?
in, isn't it?
Dude, it's life doesn't suck at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Living the dream, bro.
Yeah. Right on. Seems like a good internet connection.
I hope so. Let me know. I got like one bar, but the Wi-Fi router is right next to me. So I'm in the campsite next door. There's a little table here.
Seems good.
Good.
Cleaned up
So
for Veena, huh?
oh, you know it, baby. Your light is actually unusually better today as well.
I'm on my iPad.
Cool. I figured I'd make you kind of co-host too, or have you talk about some stuff. I had and Madison's here. Hi, Madison. We're just gonna go over a few things real quick. I kind of figured as an introduction, I'd introduce her, to everybody, and then tell us a little bit about herself, right off the bat. I just had a couple of simple questions, and I figured I'd kind of let you kind of.
You muted yourself.
Got a call from in. What did you do before you were a multifamily mogul? I kind of wanted to ask her that, and then how do you deal with failures or when things go wrong? So that was just a couple of simple things. Another question I had, how did you start raising capital for deals? But I think you're going to touch on that a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah, I mean, she has her usual story,
Yeah, right.
which I'll be happy to tell. But
Yeah.
No, I mean, I did like your idea of touching on personal things a little bit more and getting to know her a little bit better. That I think that's good. Yeah, I think she's a capital raiser, so there's questions there for sure, and we all want to know how to be successful and scale their business, and tips and tricks and all of that, and some of the obstacles in the market right now and how she's sort of overcoming that. What else? Converting, I had a question like how are you converting online connections through social media and Facebook or LinkedIn to actual investors?
That's good.
So, I think just sort of back and forth wherever questions fit, I think is, you and I can ask. Damon probably have some as well.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. One of the things I love that she says is that she encourages everyone to fly first class.
Yeah.
And I've only done that one time. It was on standby because my wife's uncle worked at the airline, and so we had to dress nice, because we were representing the airline apparently.
Yeah.
They didn't really tell us that. I showed up in jeans and a t-shirt or like a polo. They're like, you have to have a button-up shirt and slacks. And I was like, literally had to go to the Pendleton in the airport and spend $120 on freaking Pendleton shirt and freaking slacks, dude. Yeah, but it was still a cool experience.
I flew from Salt Lake after. Remember, we saw each other in Vegas, and then I went to Salt Lake, and I flew home first class and talked to a guy the entire way, and he was has done some real estate investing, and essentially created a contact that way. So
nice.
Hasn't
so
really.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. I mean, I think that you have to be willing to talk to the person next to you, right? And because a lot of times you just put your earphones in and you're like, okay, I'm gonna fly, but if you're paying for first class, like, use it to your advantage. But the other thing I've found is, I have a platinum Amex through my work, and so going to the lounges, I always talk to people there and find people interested in investing. So
we've been talking about that actually. Not only that, but you don't have to deal with all the crowds and all the crap and the kids, and I like that idea a lot, especially because we've been traveling a lot more this last year, for conferences and events for sure, dude. It's tough. My wife is, she's like, oh, what? How can we spend that much money? She doesn't even want to get business class, like behind first class. I'm like, babe, like, let's start there, okay? Yeah, man. Sweet. We got people funneling in already. That's a great sign. I think we could have 70, 80 people show up to this Zoom. I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I posted the multifamily mindset page because she just did an interview with the guy who runs that, Tyler Devereaux runs that whole thing. So there might be a few people coming in from that. But
well, I'm stoked that Zoom finally got that link connected to the new Zoom link, man. That was like tripping me out. I was like freaking out about it. So now I can start using that registration link now that I know it works. We should have probably tested it a week ago, but
that's what I was trying to tell you a week ago, is that it actually,
dude.
We were just texting back and forth, but
I know I should have just hopped on a call with you. Sweet, man. Juan's in the house. Juan Padilla.
What's up, gentlemen?
What's happening, brother? You like my background, bro? Look at that. Ooh,
I'm so jealous.
I figured this would be a great place to do a Zoom podcast, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks like a really nice place right there. Because now, check it out. That's a real background, not a fake, one of those fake backgrounds, right?
Yeah. You see that tan I'm getting? Look at that, baby. Look at that color, bro. Look at
Yeah.
that.
You're starting to get that golden look now.
Yeah. Feel like I'm back in Cali. Go hang out with Justin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Justin's the king of Cali.
No, we-
It's funny. I grew up on the beaches, bro. Like Venice Beach, Santa Monica Pier. Like, bro, like my mom had pictures of us naked running around the beaches, super golden, dark brown, tan, just no tan marks. She would just let us run around butt naked. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
That's crazy.
Things have changed. Things have changed a little. Oh.
We got some echo, homie.
Yeah. That's weird. Can you
Is
hear me? Is that good?
Jesse right there with you?
She's not. She's like way over there. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah. it's
Okay.
better.
Yeah. Weird. When she popped on, I was like, whoa, echo chamber. Yeah. She's got the dog. Yeah. This campsite's sweet, man. We're in, where are we? We're in Hot Springs, just a hair south of Hot Springs, Arkansas. Beautiful place.
Yeah, it looks really nice. And you guys said you're there for how long?
We're here till Saturday. We've been here since Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys been doing any like hiking and stuff?
Yeah, we actually went mining for quartz crystals this morning. We hiked up a small a hill. It was awesome. Well, it was more like a mountain, but no, about a mile hike straight up, bro. Like it was cool though.
Yeah.
We found a couple of cool specimens. It's got some little small, like nice quartz crystals, and then a couple of bigger chunks. So it was fun. She's been wanting to do it for a long time, so we had a blast. Damon Ponder in the house. What's up, Damon?
What's up, man?
How we doing?
Doing good, man.
Good.
Hey, Justin.
What's up?
Why don't you take my spot tonight, man? Talking with Veena. I think we'll have more prudent questions for her, right?
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, just chime in if you want to, but definitely can do that. And I have some questions already lined up. So
Yeah.
Cool, man. I think definitely remember that there are probably people in the room who have no experience in multifamily. So get a perspective of like, when you first start out, and then obviously to more advanced with the stuff that you guys know.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I figured. That's where he and I can work together. I'll figure the entry level stuff, and then Justin can take the heavy hitting portion of it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, sir. Should be a good turnout tonight. We already have 8 people on here, but we've got Victor de Connecta, Madison, Justin, but we got a lot of people respond to this event, so I'm excited about it.
No, cool.
Finally, registration figured out. I had back and forth Zoom for 2 weeks, man, or more, trying to get the registration link connected to the news link.
It's breaking up.
oh, right in time.
Gotta say, like, it may be good, man, if Lance is having a bad connection.
It's
'cause
been
it looks like
it is. He was good up until a second ago.
okay. Yeah, his connection might be spotty, man. Well, we shall see.
Yeah.
There he is.
Did we ever get the co-hosting thing set up as well, just to make sure that we all have the co-hosting capabilities in case, 2 of us go down for any reason? I think
You're on.
Lance, you're still muted.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So
Because I don't have co-host capabilities yet.
Basically, when you join the event, if you join for the Facebook group event, then I have you guys set up as co-hosts.
Through the Facebook event. Okay.
Yeah, you should. If you want to hop out and hop back in and try that, let me know.
Yeah,
But I put you guys as co-hosts on that.
All right, let
Okay.
me try it.
too.
Through the Facebook event.
Yeah, it's if not, I'll just like just because my connection sucks, I'll give Justin the host.
Like, just in case you go out, man. That way,
Yeah.
those guys.
Exactly, dude. See if it works though. Oh, come on now. Oh, Veena. Oh boy. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Of
Good. Thanks for joining us tonight.
course. Thank you for having me. Where are you? Are you at the lake?
Yeah, I'm in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh, look at you. Fancy.
Yeah, I know, right?
I love it.
Here we go. Yeah. How's your evening going so far?
So far, so good. I feel like I'm gonna lose my voice soon because I'm talking nonstop.
I bet.
So
Well,
because-
you'll get to rest in Montana soon.
I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna be resting in Montana because there's
Right.
like bugs, snakes, and lizards, and I'm really not not a nature
funny.
person. I don't thrive in nature.
Yeah, I could have probably guessed that.
I know. Shocking.
Right? Yeah, we have people trickling in. Do you want to start right at 6? Or we can give people some time to hop in? Okay.
Hey, Lance, Justin was saying that the link is not available on Facebook yet. Like maybe it would become available in 4 minutes. You may want to, I don't know. I don't know how you have that set up.
Yeah. We did put the registration out as well.
Okay.
Okay. I guess Jesse says it's on there.
Okay.
Yeah, we posted it everywhere, she says. Yeah. This is the part that I'm not the techie guy, so at some point, hopefully in the near future, I'll get someone to help me with this part of it because it's not my strength at all. Let's see.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Get started here in a couple minutes. Mhm. All right, team's working on it.
Hey, Lance, can you do me a favor? Can you text the link over to me, please?
Yeah. Yeah, Jesse can do that for you. Here we go.
That's fine.
Ooh, it's warm out here in Arkansas. Pretty cool place. If you guys haven't been, definitely check out the hot springs out here. It's awesome. There's some like 100-year history. Here we go. People are starting to trickle in now. I guess the Zoom link on the event page comes out. She just texted it to the group in the group chat, but the event page, the link to join comes out right on time. I thought it came out a little earlier, so I'll start putting that registration in from now on. Now that we got it figured out with Zoom. Okay, well.
Yeah, I think you're set. people will start to trickle in more and more, I'll deal with that, and that way we don't waste Veena's time. So
Yep.
why don't we go? We'll get started.
All right, 6 o'clock sharp.
I love it.
Sweet. Let's do this. So, hey guys, we have a powerhouse in multifamily tonight joining us on our the Creative Collective podcast. Veena is such an amazing person. I've got to know her personally a little bit over the last few months. Been an amazing experience so far getting to know her and just being in her Facebook group and part of her team. We got to hang out in Vegas a couple months ago. She's just an amazing person. She's got over $900 million in assets under management, if you can believe that. That's crazy. So yeah, Veena's got an awesome Facebook page, Mastering Multifamily. If you're not on it, get on it. It is amazing. Tons of knowledge, weekly Zooms and whatnot. So I just wanted to bring her on so she could add some value to our community. And yeah, Veena, welcome. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm so great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited.
Yes, thank you so much. We have people trickling in here. I'd like to just kind of start off with an introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So like you said, I am a large multifamily owner operator. At the end of next month, we'll have actually crossed the $1 billion mark in transaction volume. And we look for Class B value add assets in the Sun Belt in Arizona. That's kind of our core target markets. And we're always looking for good opportunities to bring asymmetric value to our investors.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. So, I kind of wanted to get to know you a little bit on a personal level here. We don't get to hear a lot about who you are personally.
Yeah.
We get to hear a lot about business, but I love to talk about mindset and just get to know people. I'm a big connector, a networker. So can you tell us a little bit about what you did before you were a multifamily mogul?
Yeah, so I was actually still pretty much in the same lines. I was a single family investor before I was a multifamily investor. And before that, I was a real estate employee for one of the largest real estate companies in the world. And then, before that, I was a college student, which I don't think we should talk about the college days because those might be like not PG enough.
Oh, come on.
I'm just kidding. I'm an open book. You can ask me whatever.
Awesome. So you work for some larger firms. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Yeah, I did. I left Tishman in 2012. And when I was there, I was on the management team for $1 billion asset. I think now it's like valued at like 1.2 or 1.3 billion, just one single asset. It's crazy.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have Justin's going to come on too. He's in a multifamily mastermind group too. So he's going to ask you some of the harder questions, but
go easy on me, Justin, because I don't know the answers.
Yeah, I'm sure. Good to see you though.
You too.
Yeah. So for everyone who isn't acquainted with you, can you just give a little bit of a background on how you got started in multifamily? I've heard the story a couple times. I think it's great.
So you're not bored with it yet?
No, but the story of the first raise, I mean, that's such a
yeah, that's like so traumatic.
Yeah.
I know. It's like I still have trauma from it because it was so stressful. So my first raise, I had to raise $1.2 million in 6 weeks. And you know what happens when people go out to like raise money or they see all these deals being done, they're like, oh, it's so easy. I could do that. I could do that piece of cake. Right. And so like, I was just as cocky as everybody else. And I was like, I could do this. No, I barely could do it. So I started raising the capital. I cried myself to sleep every night for 6 weeks straight because nobody wanted to give me money. Nobody believed in me. And oh my gosh, I thought I had put my family in like financial ruin. I thought I made the worst decision ever. I was like, why did I do this? It was awful. Until I actually closed the raise. And then I was like, oh, this wasn't so bad, was it? And, hindsight's always much easier to look at than while you're in the middle of a raise. Because, what I always talk about too, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. I hope that's okay. But what people don't talk to you about when you're an entrepreneur in general, but especially when you're raising capital as an entrepreneur, is how lonely it is It is so freaking lonely because what happens is nobody wanted to invest with me, right? Because I didn't have like I had the corporate track record, I had the single family track record, but I didn't have the multifamily track record, right? And so people would be like, come back to me when you've done your second deal or your third deal. And I would literally cry at night in my bed. I'm like, why did I do this? And I'm an ugly crier, so it was like pretty ugly. And then I couldn't talk to anyone about it because how could I go to like our friends who might be our investors and be like, no one wants to invest in this deal and I need $1.2 million. Do you want to invest with me? Like, of course not. Who is going to say yes to that, right? So it becomes this thing where you're kind of like in an island where you don't really get to be as maybe like transparent with your close relationships because of the people that may be the only ones to believe in you if they believe in you, but you can't risk having somebody else say no to you because you're telling them like all these other people passed on you. So it's very isolating in this way.
Yeah, I think for me, what drives me crazy is that you have these friends, these like lifelong friends that you're going out and saying, hey, I'm doing this. This is, a new thing for me, but I have this much experience and, I'm dealing with great operators and so on. And you send them the emails and you get no response.
Yep, no response.
They just don't want to let you down,
Yes.
And they just sort of glance over it and don't respond. And
Yeah.
so do you sleep better at night now with the raises that you're doing?
No, actually, because what I also didn't realize was the first time I took in investor capital, I have not slept the same since because I always have this concern for investors in the back of my mind. I'm always thinking about like, okay, if we made this move, is this the right move for them? Are they going to be protected because they're trusting me? And that is so much responsibility and pressure. That, if you want to sleep well at night, don't raise capital. Like that's really the secret, right? But if you want to scale and grow, you have to learn how to raise capital. And more importantly, you have to learn how to be a good steward of that capital you're raising.
Right. Yeah, I think the best teams that I see, there are people that are investor relations capital raisers, but the entire team is raising the capital. It's not just it doesn't fall on one person or one team's responsibility. It's asset managers, it's the acquisition, the underwriter, everyone's going out and raising those deals.
Can you mute this guy?
Playground. Tomorrow we will, okay?
Guys, please mute. Please mute. Thank you. Hey guys, sorry. Lance, can you make sure everybody's muted, please?
Justin's the host. I made Justin the host, so because of my unstable connection here. Sorry about that. Thank you.
All right.
Woo.
Live podcasts are not fun unless there's an interruption. Fully convinced.
Oh man.
Yeah, we've had some bad ones.
We won't tell you about the last one.
Worse. I've had much worse.
Yeah.
Actual X-rated interventions. So
yes, we did also have that. It was not fun at all.
Yeah.
So
you're doing something right.
So as I was saying, like the entire team really should have the responsibility of raising, and they might not bring a huge portion of the capital to the table, but at least they're helping getting that across the finish line. I think. Do you see that with your teams that you're working with?
I would say we do. We have such like a well-oiled machine at this point that we have like a very stringent process, but we do have an entry point for everybody who's working on the deal to funnel people or leads into our ecosystem and then go from there. So like, for example, even our investors help us raise our capital, right? Like what they'll do is they'll go and they'll be like, hey, I have my cousin or my friend or my mom or whoever that's interested. And I'm like, oh, amazing. They're accredited. We would love to welcome them into the deal. And then they can just go to vivefunds.com, right? And there's an investor portal button. They can sign up there and then they can come into the ecosystem. And then we have like a very stringent process on what we do every time we have a deal and how we communicate with our investors so they know what to expect. But everybody sends all investors there. So like my investors, my family, my team, my employees, everybody in our company knows, like, don't send an intro email to me because the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to get directed to this, call it like a funnel, right? Like a top of funnel, which is where we capture everything. And we do that because that's where I can capture all of the relevant information to them. I can capture their name, their contact info, what they're looking for, what their experience level is, are they accredited, where they live, all this stuff gets captured there.
Mhm.
Right? And then what happens is they get moved appropriately through the funnel. So if someone is not an accredited investor yet, then what I'll do is I'll keep them on our list, but we don't allow them to invest in our opportunities as of right now. So what'll happen next is, okay, let's say we do have an opportunity that comes up. When we have that opportunity come up, I will reach back out to them and say, hey, are you accredited? And if they still say no, then they obviously can't invest in it yet, but eventually they will be accredited most likely. So we have like a very clear funnel of how everybody moves through our system so that we don't lose anybody and we don't overlook anybody's opportunities.
And I love your tenets of speaking with people and not making the assumption that someone's not a potential investor or being able to introduce you to that. So,
Yeah.
A lot of our audience is from the sub-2 community, from single family real estate. Can you maybe give some advice on multifamily and if someone's wanting to start out, what would you do different the second time around?
Oh man, there's so many things. How long do we have to talk about all the mistakes I made? I made so many mistakes. Okay, so the first and foremost thing, the one singular mistake I've made that has cost me the most amount of money is not realizing what was behind like the paywalls of these paid communities, paid networking events, paid conferences. I never really realized the value of it. I always thought it was like, oh, well, I could go and learn what NOI is. No, that is not what the value that exists there is. Like you can Google NOI. You do not need to be in like sub-2 or my vault or anything like that to know what NOI is, right? What you need it for is for the people that you meet there. It's a mindset. It is the power of being around people who don't think it's absolutely ridiculous to want to build $1 billion company. Like that is life-changing, right? And they just know things at a different level. There's levels to the game and they just know things at a different level of the game than you do when you're first starting out. So it's like almost like the shortcut to get there. And I'm in these rooms now because I've earned my way into those rooms. Like I've transacted on enough deals. I've done enough deal volume. I've had enough success that I've now earned my place at the table. But oh my gosh, if I had known, I would have just cut the check because that's like the easiest way to do it, right? So that's the easy button, first and foremost. The second thing that I would say, if you're starting out and you're a single family investor, learn the lingo of multifamily. I know almost immediately when someone is a single family investor versus a multifamily investor. And you want to be able to fake it till you make it, right? So there's someone in our community, her name's Elizabeth, and she's our official note taker. She takes these amazing notes. So by default, she watches every single video in the vault because she takes the notes on them and then provides them for the entire community. And she did, we have like a vocabulary Zoom that we did. It was like a 3-hour Zoom. It was so long, but it was so much fun. And that Zoom call was me just going over like, here's what we say, and here's why we say it. Here's how you say it. And here's what it's supposed to mean, right? And she watched that, took the notes, and then she went and she talked to a multifamily broker at a conference for multifamily investors. And the multifamily broker goes, oh, I really want to work with you because you are easily one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met in multifamily. And it's all because she can make that first impression, right? She could say like, hey, what kind of reversion cap rate should we expect on this, right? Or, hey, my LPs generally prefer to sit in a pref position. Like these are words that even if you don't really know what they mean, if you can say them in a way that makes sense or that's in context, someone who's hearing you say this is going to be like, oh, well, she obviously knows what she's talking about. She can talk about like a pref position, right?
Right.
So like knowing those things, so getting educated there. And then I'd say the third thing is finding the right partners. This is all about partnership. Find the right partners, find good partners, learn how to work with skills that you have, like the strengths you have, and then find the people that have the weaknesses that you have, and that's their strength, and partner with them.
Yeah, lean on them with their portfolio, their experience, their
Exactly. Leverage.
schedule of real estate, and you can, when you form those partnerships, you can use those to your advantage when talking to investors and talking to people. I think that's
100%.
huge. Yeah. So getting in the right rooms is essentially what you're talking about. So can you give a few more tips on that? You always mention like buy the premier ticket to the multifamily conference.
Yeah.
Sit in first class. Get the try to get into the lounges at the airport, and I try to implement those everywhere I go because and take advantage of them. You really have to, if you're going to buy the first class ticket, you got to be willing to sit next to the person and talk the whole time if they'll allow you to. But that's where I found a lot of my investors is through the airport lounges. So yeah,
I love the airport lounges, especially the Centurion Lounge. That's a really good one. And also because like you'll see people with black cards and I'm like, oh, you're even fancier than I am, right? But it means they have probably a lot of money, or they spend a lot of money at least. So those are good people for you to target. And their guard isn't up at an airport, right? In an airport lounge, you're both in the same like sort of more exclusive area. So they don't feel guarded as much as they would maybe out somewhere else. So it's a really great place for you guys to meet and talk and have those meaningful conversations and build those relationships. Yeah.
And I think, you run a fantastic Facebook group. It's all free. It's come in and learn from one of the best in the industry, right here. Just want to keep plugging that for you because that community is growing, and Lance and I got to experience it firsthand in Vegas, and you got some great followers. So thank you.
I'm so excited. Thank you. I know. I'm like, I can't even believe how fast it's growing. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It is.
So fast.
Yeah. It's amazing. Can I jump back in here, Justin, real quick?
Yeah,
thanks, Veena. You guys have been awesome. Justin, rock star, bro. So Veena, I wanted to talk a little bit about so I've been raising some private capital, right, for single family homes. And it's been challenging at times, but it's been a lot of fun. It's something I really enjoy, like you. So what would you say to someone like myself who is looking to transition and learn how to syndicate or how to build a fund, going from raising 80 to 100, 150, 200,000 up to millions of dollars? What would be the next step for someone like myself besides, or I know networking obviously, but how powerful is the networking part of this?
I mean, I think that's everything, because investors only invest with people they know, like, and trust. They don't know you, they're not investing. If they don't like you, they're not investing. And if they don't trust you, they're not investing, right? It doesn't matter how much you have like the best brand and you might be the best looking and the sharpest and the best spoken. None of that matters if they don't know you, right? So I think building a personal brand is absolutely paramount in this day and age, especially as AI is like taking over the world. But secondly, I think building a bigger network is more important than ever, because now there's a lot of investors that just are not investing. They're like, I'm scared, I'm out, right? And if we follow what Warren Buffett says, he says, be greedy when others are scared, fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. And this is a point in the market cycle where the savviest investors are coming out. The regular average person is scared. They're like seeing what's happening with this Apple's Way portfolio and they're like running away, which is fine. But you have to know who the smart money is, who the smart investors are, and you need to have relationships with them, and you need to have them before the opportunity comes. So I think networking is absolutely key. So I already talked a little bit about the different ways that I would make the shift from single family to multifamily. But in addition to that, for you, especially as you're looking to grow your capital raising abilities, have a system and process in place. Have a way to follow up with your investors, to nurture your investors, to build that relationship with your investors. Because when you first start out, you don't have enough people that are seeking you out yet. You're not yet attracting investors to you. Right now, you're still going out and trying to go and make investors listen to you and give you their time, right? Like that's kind of where you are this part of the cycle. What eventually happens though is it starts shifting and you build enough of a track record and you build enough of a brand and you have enough of a network that what happens is those people start referring people. So now you have 1,000 people in your database and they each refer you to one person. Now you have 2,000 people and then those people refer you and now you have 4,000 people. So it's a snowball effect. It's not linear, it's exponential in growth.
That's great. Thank you. I'm just starting to break into that a little bit where I will have some referrals come in, and it's really been an amazing experience so far.
Yes.
But it's only been about 3 months or so, but a lot of work to do. The systems is definitely something I wanted to touch on because I did get a CRM, right, to help me get organized, right? Because what does PACE tell us to do? Make a huge mess and clean it up as you go, right? I'm an action taker. That's kind of how I am. I just get in and I do, and we can clean it up along the way. But it's really important to clean it up along the way because it's getting pretty messy now, right? So, yeah, right. And thankfully, I have an awesome integrator partner and wife to help me out. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I was going to say you had us, people in your group who were interested to do a one sheet a while back, right? And I have yet to do that, but I'm working. It's on my list. It's on my list of to do. I actually just wrote it down, put it on my calendar to do it. But how important would you say?
You don't have to do it that often, so it's like a one skill for the most part.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's amazing. So I saw some people in the group do it. And it makes a ton of sense. How important would you say having something like that, a one sheet where it just kind of outlines who you are and what you're looking for? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's crucial for building your brand, right? So what he's talking about is I have a workshop called Build Your Brand or Building Your Brand. And what I did one day, the way it came about, right, is I was sitting there and I was talking to someone about, I think I was talking to my sister about all the things I wish I would have known when I first rolled out Vive Funds, because I made so many mistakes. And this isn't my first company. Like I've done so many different deals and like I've had so many different mistakes along the way. And I was like, man, I wish someone would just tell me like, don't do this, don't do that. Okay, do this, do that. This works, this doesn't. And like, just put it in a box and send it to me. And my sister was like, well, why don't you just create it? And I was like, great, that doesn't sound like more work at all. She's like, no, you really need to, because there are other people that are wishing this. And if you take the time to do this, you can really impact and add value, which, she was kind of tugging at my heartstrings because this is my mission for this year is impact, right? And adding value to someone else's business so that they can grow too. So I sat down and I put together this whole outline of all the things I wish I would have known when I first started. And then what happened was I started like getting further along. I was like, oh, but I wish someone would have just told me to have a one sheet, because I didn't have one until maybe even like 2.5 years ago. I haven't had a one sheet for very long. I didn't know it was a thing. And then I found out about it and it totally changed my accessibility. It changed the ability for me to get on different like podcasts and get on different stages and stuff like that. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It's a huge opportunity for me. And it's so easy to do. And then as recently as January, I met two people who are now good friends of mine. But they are experts at like marketing and media kits. And then they even gave me more updates to make to how a one sheet should look and what it should be like, et cetera. And so I put that together and I put that into the Building Your Brand course. I have like a bunch of other things, but I gave you guys templates. So it's really easy, Lance. There's no excuse for you not having done this. I told you exactly how to do it and I gave you the template.
I know.
I know.
Yeah. It's something actually I'm doing some coaching right now with an individual, and we talked about this today. And it's something I need. Time management is really, really important. We can dig into this if you want a little bit. Time management is something I struggle with. Okay, like making enough personal time. I can imagine I have a tendency to just get so into my work that I can work for hours and hours and hours and hours and not give myself enough time. Even when I'm here on vacation, right? I'm like still working. So how important would you say it is to get that time to yourself to get away and clear your mind?
I'm not a good person to ask about this because I don't do this.
Mhm.
But also I'm such an extreme extrovert that the idea of like being alone that sounds like the worst thing that could ever happen to someone. Like, actually, it's funny. I was talking to my husband today and he's telling me about, so he loves Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's like his hero, right? He's like this physicist, like genius man. If you guys don't know who he is, you should definitely check him out. But he has like a podcast or something. And I guess he was talking about with this guy about like how long you can survive with different things, right? So he's like, it's 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food, something. And then he's like, and then the guy was like, it's 3 months without social interaction. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like the worst thing ever. But my husband and Neil deGrasse Tyson, who are both introverts, my husband especially, he's like, 3 months not talking. He's like, I mean, I miss you and I miss the kids. He's like, but I could do that. And that would sound like a vacation to me. And I was like, wow, you could go like, because I don't want to go 3 minutes
Ouch.
without talking to somebody else, let alone 3 months. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Right,
I still have to say I'm a bad person to ask about balancing because I like to be around people. So I don't care
Yeah.
where it is. I'm just going to want to like always be talking to someone and talking about something I'm passionate about, or
Yeah.
like hanging out with the kids, I guess, is my personal time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's funny. My wife is saying it's introvert thing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. See, she knows.
yeah, she's like your husband. Like they basically can do the same thing. I'm like you though. I love to be social. I love to hang out, talk to people. We make friends wherever we go.
Yeah,
Like our
right.
business goes with us everywhere. Like I'm always talking about real estate. And I
Yes.
know you know that because you do the same thing. So
Yeah. And I always say I've never met a stranger. They're just friends I haven't met yet.
right. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, so I think this is great. I've kind of had a couple of simple questions. I'm going to have Justin hop on it and ask you some more stuff, but I wanted to. I've had this happen a lot actually recently, and you've actually said in some of your Zooms, you touched on this, but I have people all the time on these multifamily deals, be it a wholesaler, broker, that they have under contract that we're looking at analyzing. They ask for proof of funds. Right? They always do. I've had almost every single one, and you've touched on this before, and what's your advice on that? Like what,
They don't
what
think
should
you're
I
a
say?
serious buyer. They don't think you're serious if they're asking you for a proof of funds.
Okay.
I've never been asked for a proof of funds, ever. Like not even now, if I reach out and I'm like, hey, I want to buy this, I come out so strong that they don't even have a reason to question me. So getting asked for a proof of funds is highly unusual because people that can afford like what size house are you looking at? 10 million, 5 million?
Yeah, anything from 2 million up to 10.
Okay, so on 2 million, it's not as unusual because the assumption is that you are utilizing capital that you already have available to you. But when you're reaching out to like a broker or even a seller, right, and you're talking to them and you're saying like, hey, we're really interested in this deal. We typically target or we typically acquire deals in the $2 to $10 million range. We usually look at this region. I can send you a buy criteria and a company brochure. But what we really like about this asset is blah, 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 blah. And our capital is fairly aggressive. We have an equity partner that we work with, and they're looking for XYZ returns, which it seems to pencil from the information we have so far. We're really excited to, take a deeper dive into this. When you say things like that, you're giving them all of the information that they need to know that you're a serious buyer. And when you go and you go, hey, I want to look at this deal, what happens is there are hundreds of people that do that. And they're not serious buyers. They never can, never will ever close that deal. So they can't afford to waste their time. So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, send me a proof of funds, because they know that most people are either going to be like, oh, I don't have that and not respond, or they're going to be like, oh, we changed our mind or whatever, right? Like it's a very good screening tool. But if someone asks you for proof of funds, depending on the size of the deal, I might respond back and say, I'm happy to share our track record, our resume, experience, our company brochure, but we typically don't capitalize our deals until we have a LOI at a minimum out on these, or this is our JV partner, this is who'll bring the equity, everybody's already greenlit the deal, something like that, so that you're not kind of boxing yourself into this corner. But it's more typical to have a capitalization or a capital call once you have a deal under contract, or at least an LOI at the bare minimum.
Yeah, the way that I approach this sometimes is to tell a broker or whoever I'm talking to is that we syndicate per deal and our capital is not liquid at the time that we're inquiring for a property. And once we look at the numbers and submit an LOI and a letter of intent and go on to the next process of signing the PSA, that's when we start raising our capital and have a history of closing and and just approach it that way as well if they're not if you don't have a large equity partner to deal with, right?
I always lie. I never say that.
Yeah.
Ever. I'm always like, oh, yep, we're well capitalized. We got the capital ready. We just need to tell our capital partner. The reason why is a lot of brokers, especially as you get into larger deals, they're not going to choose you if they have another buyer that's not syndicating the deal. So even though we syndicate our deals, I don't say that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Great tip. So
as you get into bigger deals, it becomes more of an issue. Smaller deals aren't as big of an issue, but larger deals, definitely, they're not going to like that.
Right. Gotcha. So how are you responding to the news in the market and everything that's going on, and how do you approach that with your investors?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm the wrong person to ask about this, because I think this is the best time to be investing into those, honestly, because income producing real estate is easily the best inflationary hedge that you can possibly get. I can buy a building today for $100 million that in 5 years, no matter what, I'm not going to get it for $100 million, even if the NOI stays the same, because it's going to be too hard to build. Replacement cost is going to be too high. Inflation is just naturally going to carry the asset. And so what I find a lot is when people are negative about the market, it's because they're scared, and they're scared because they don't have the proper education about the asset, right? Or about what they're investing into. And so that's my responsibility. That's my fault for not educating my investors. So I'm constantly educating them about, like, hey, this is what we look for. This is what we like. This is why we like the market. This is why we like this opportunity versus that opportunity. This is why we do this today that we didn't do 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, right? All of that is an education process. And you should know, and you should be able to talk about why you love multifamily or whatever your asset class is, whether it's multifamily or something else. You should be able to talk about that so clearly and right off the cuff, because you know it so well inside and out. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great. Yeah, I think for the general masses, the initial reaction is just fear, right? And they don't see it as an opportunity. I know we in the multifamily space have seen what's going on with the variable rate bridge loan debt that's all coming due and sort of frothing at the mouth with all the deals that are supposed to be coming, but things like the portfolio in Houston that you touched on a couple of times in some of your recent podcasts, those sort of articles with Wall Street Journal sort of really scare investors away a little bit. And so I think, like you said, just educating people and really letting them know how you are dealing with risk management, how you're approaching your deals, opposite of what some of these other people have chosen to do, that their portfolios are crumbling currently.
Yeah. You're asking what we've done?
Yeah. What have you done?
Yeah. Many things. First and foremost, we are looking to debt right now more than anything else. Like right now, we're in the middle of buying a deal that has 12 years of fixed rate debt at 3%. Actually, it's at 2.95%, remaining on it with 7 years of interest only. That's really the biggest thing that I need to be doing, is looking at the debt. We also are really very conservative with how we assume the asset is going to continue doing. So right now we're underwriting to $251 rent premium instead of $464, which is what some of our comps are getting. So it's just really being judicious with those rent increases, market growth, where we think the rent premiums are going to be, making sure that we're stress testing to see what happens if our vacancy goes down, right? Or our vacancy goes up, right? Like what happens if our occupancy goes down? What happens if we only get $300 instead of the $464? Okay, great. Can this still work with $250? Yes, it does. So we're utilizing all of those different methods to come to more conservative underwriting than probably we've historically ever done. In that too, we have also started implementing AI technology to help us with better predictors of where the future of our markets and our assets are going.
What are you using for that? I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, there's a couple of different softwares. I have to look at the name. I mean, one that we use pretty regularly, and we've been using it for almost like 3 years now, is Axiometrics. Now these licenses are like very costly. They are like, I don't know what we pay, but it's like 50 or 100 grand a year for these licenses to get access to this. But I think that's the importance of investing with good sponsors, because we will pay for those because it's so crucial to our business plan and our modeling.
Yeah. So again, like we said, there's a lot of people that might be thinking about getting into multifamily. Can you give some tips on how to build a team and what to look for?
Yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting question because I feel like this is easily one of the things that I still struggle with the most. And I think people are surprised to hear that. So something that I've been recently working on is I've adopted this mentality of like hire fast and fire faster. And I'm sad to say, I actually had to let go of one of our employees earlier this week. And he was with us for less than 90 days. And he seemed like he was going to be like such a great fit for what we needed. We have like a pretty extensive interview process, and I'm going to do a call in the Facebook community at some point of like how we go through and like what all the steps are and what happens when you onboard with our team. Cause I have like a very detailed process about it. Like we have background checks and we have aptitude tests and things like that. So there's like a lot of hurdles to get into our company. And so he was a really, really great candidate on paper, got stellar references. And then when he came into the position, he tried really hard. He really did. But one of the biggest challenges that we had was, I think that we rely on our employees, like we give them a lot of trust to be self-starters and just go out and do the things they need to do. And, we have a flex schedule. We don't force them to work like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Like it's not a buttoned up company in that way. And I think that the strengths that he had, I could easily see why they would be so valuable to another company, but it just didn't really jive with our company. And the painful part is turnover is very expensive for us as business owners. Like we want to minimize turnover as much as possible. And it was hard because this was within the first 90 days. And look, we tried to do like improvement plans and, hey, here are the issues that are happening. Here's where the mistakes are. Here's how you can improve. We put in place like an improvement plan, right? Like an employee improvement plan. And we just did not, like the mistakes still happened, same mistakes over and over. And I remember talking to my sister, who's my partner, and I was like, this just doesn't feel right. And I don't know why. Maybe we haven't given it enough time. Maybe we haven't done enough coaching. Maybe we haven't been good leaders. And then it kind of came back to the same thing that I've been trying to implement and instill, which is hire fast and fire faster. And so it's, it's one of those things, like when you're at a poker table, you want to fold your cards the moment they can't win, right? Not when you have the losing hand, right? Like someone could have a pair of aces and maybe you can bluff them with like a pair of queens in your hand or whatever it is, right? But once you know that you can't win, you can't bluff your way there, you can't fake it till you make it, you can't actually win, you don't have the best hand, you have to fold the hand. And this is something that I think is so crucial to entrepreneurs to know and understand this and actually do it, because it's very hard to do. And you almost have to do this. I feel a responsibility to the rest of my team to make sure that there's not one person that is coming in below average because the rest of my team is so above average.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what's filling your cup right now? What are the books, podcasts, blogs, or anything that you continue to go to for inspiration in the multifamily space or mindset or anything like that?
I mean, the Facebook community that we have is easily the one thing that fills my cup. I spend way more time in there than anybody with like a full-time company should ever spend. But you know, it's so exciting for me because I think about it and I'm like, even now I'm like, oh, I haven't been on there in like 5 hours. I wonder what everybody's doing. I wonder what they accomplished today. Cause I get to see people see new things and experience new things and accomplish new things for the first time. And who was I telling? I was telling, so one of my fund managers that I'm very close to, he's done like, I don't know, like over a dozen projects with me. Right. And I was talking to him and he just did a raise that was like a $5 million raise. And it's the largest one he's done to date. And, you know, I was talking to him and he was like, Veena, I have $5 million in my bank account right now. And it's like, that's so cool. And I could hear the excitement in his voice and I could hear like the pride. And I was like, you know, when I was in that moment, like from when I had that happen to me the first time, I missed it because I was so stressed out and I was so worried. And I was like thinking about all the things that I was just trying to like check all the things off that I didn't really get a chance to like enjoy it or realize like what an accomplishment it was at that moment. And so I told him, I said, listen, this is a big moment. You need to like, just make a video, like pick up your phone, record a video to yourself of like what this feels like right now. Even if you don't post it anywhere. Cause like, I wish I could go back and watch those moments and see like, what did that feel like in that? Because I can't remember it anymore. And I wish I could.
Yeah.
And so I recommend that to anybody. Like when you guys are hitting these small milestones, especially not just the big ones. The big ones are easy to commemorate because everybody thinks about it. When you're hitting these smaller milestones, record a video of like what you feel in that exact moment and like what you're thinking and how you're going to move to the next level and what you want for yourself a year from now, just so that you can go back and watch it when you've reached your next milestone and be like, wow, I've come so far in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. I love that. Hey, we get so laser focused on moving forward and hitting our next goal that, you know, sometimes we forget to celebrate the things that you've right. And to be able to go back and look what you've accomplished, I think that's great. I definitely will try to start implementing that.
I mean, we do it with our kids, right? Like I took a video of the first time my kid took their first step, right? I took a video of their first haircut and their first birthday.
Yeah.
Like, why shouldn't we be commemorating these things? Like these are accomplishments that most people will never do in their entire lives.
Yeah, we have, my wife and I have our like a, you know, smart screen or whatever, and it's connected to our Instagram. And so we really love, you know, posting to our Instagram so that we can see that stuff and, oh, that's so cute, or remember when we did that or that, you know, and great to fill that up with your professional memories too.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. And like, honestly, you guys are going to have to remind me once we actually get past the $1 billion mark next month, you guys are gonna have to remind me to like do this video. Cause like, I have not done this and I wish I had. I feel like this might be a memory or a moment that I want to look back on and think about. And so you guys have to remind me.
So when you hit that $1 billion goal, what is what's next for you?
You know, it's funny because everybody's been asking me that and I've been like trying so hard. I did a whole Zoom on setting SMART goals. And it's like, have you guys heard that saying, like the cobbler's children have no shoes? Like it kind of feels like that because I'm like, okay, what is next? Because like $2 billion doesn't feel like it. $10 billion doesn't even feel like it. Like, I think once you hit the $1 billion in like transactions, it's like, okay, this is like a check mark. I've accomplished that thing, right? Yeah. And I don't think I would get as much satisfaction or gratification or a sense of accomplishment or pride from doing 2 billion or 10 billion. If it happens, fine. But I think for me, like the thing that I've like leaned into and that I love so much is like my mission of impact. because I'm like, I want other people to be able to build a company where they can say that they've done $1 billion in deals too.
Right.
And that's what I'm really looking for in this next thing. So, you know, I did it one day on a call. Someone asked me this and I was like, all right, I just want to impact like 10,000 people this year, which feels like so scary. And then it feels even scarier to say it out loud, because then you're like, okay, now it's real. And like now other people know. And so like, what if I don't hit it? Like all the things that I think are normal when you set these audacious goals, I'm like going through all of that, like you're being super transparent. It's vulnerable for me to say that. But that is the goal. Oh, Victor, I hope that's true, because that makes me, that means I need to change the goal. We got to move the goalpost.
Yeah. I mean, you're so, community focused right now. I totally think that your goals, could easily be wrapped around your community. So I love that.
I hope so. Oh, I love it, Jesse. Jesse says 100K. I'm scared
Justin,
to say that out
Yeah.
loud. I'm scared to even say that out loud. I'm scared of that.
Go ahead,
hey,
David.
Justin. Hey, this is Damon. Sorry, I'm going to jump in
you?
1 second. I've been silent the whole podcast. But in speaking to goals, I have a really good question, right? Because I know that those that have a lot of experience, right? When you're looking at somebody that doesn't, it seems like a very insurmountable task, right? So they're looking at you and they don't know the lingo, they don't know all of this, right? Obviously, Justin knows a lot of that, but let's speak to the people in the room that don't. And since we were talking about goals, is there a way that you could give somebody, let's say your top 10, your top 5 definitive goals, right? That if you were starting out, read this book, do this list, do this thing, right?
Yeah.
That would help.
Oh, I love this question. Okay. I have to come up with them off the top of my head, but these are like the top things I wish I would have known and or done when I first started. Okay. First and foremost is learn the vocabulary, right? Like go to YouTube, go to my vault, go wherever you need to go, find the vocabulary, learn all of the vocabulary. The second one is establish all of your social media channels and start posting content. This is really vulnerable for a lot of people to do, including myself. Believe it or not, it's very hard, but you have to do it because you need to attract people into your world in order to raise capital, in order to transact on deals, to find partners, everything. And your voice is important and it needs to be heard, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times in the Facebook group, like at the end of my Zoom call, I always ask for one thing from everybody that came. And I say, go and teach the top 2 or 3 things that you learned on this call today to someone else in the group, post about it in the group. And the reason is because someone might hear me say it 1,000 times, but they need to hear what Damon's words are going to be around it. They need to hear what you're going to say around it. So make sure you go and put things out into your social media that you have learned, things that you're wondering about, opinions you have, questions you have. You can post about anything. The best thing about social media is everybody can have a platform. The worst thing about social media is everybody can have a platform, right? Like it's 2 sides of the same coin, but we need to learn how to use it and leverage it appropriately. So that's the second thing. The third thing I would say is go and start listening to podcasts and learn who different operators that you think are worthwhile or they have a business that you want to kind of model after. Go find them. Go to their portal, sign up in their portal. It is free. Literally, you can sign up on every sponsor's investor list for free. Nobody will say no to you, right? So go sign up. I have so many people that are like, competitors in the space in my portal. And like, people are like, oh my gosh, do you just remove them immediately? I'm like, no, why would I do that? This is nothing new. And when other operators are good, it makes all of us better. A rising tide lifts all boats. So go into everybody's portal, go learn what they're doing. Next, give careful consideration to your brand, right? Think about who you are, who you want to be, how you want to be perceived, right? Use the fundamental rules to name your business, to find if your business needs to have a website or a landing page or a funnel or whatever that looks like, right? Then do everything the legal way. Trust me, this will save you millions of dollars. Don't ask me how I know, but it will. Paper everything correctly, especially when things are good. That's when you want to document everything. And then I would say, go network, right? Go out and network, go meet people, practice pitching to people that are never going to invest with you. Go practice with them. That's very low risk for you to meet someone in the grocery store and practice a pitch with them, right? It's low risk for you to be in line at Starbucks and practice pitching to that person. It's very low risk to do those things, but you'll get better the more you do it. It's a muscle and you have to exercise it.
I think you should, I listened to Tyler's interview with you, and I think your pitch, your elevator pitch is great because it's short, concise,
Yeah.
straight. Can you let everybody know what that is so they can emulate?
Yeah. So my elevator pitch is really simple. I help passive investors generate double-digit returns in a tax-efficient way by investing in multifamily real estate. That's it.
Yeah. And the point of that being to get them to ask you more questions.
Yeah, I think this is, so I do an investor challenge every now and then, and I think we're probably due to run it again. But what I do in the investor challenge is I basically have you guys create elevator pitches, right? And the first one, I don't really give you a lot of guidance because I want you to just think about it. But the biggest mistake that people make is they go, I'm a multifamily investor and I take investors in and I'll give you double-digit returns, but you're going to get 1.85x equity multiple and a 15% IRR, and it's going to be 200 plus units in the Sunbelt, and you like word vomit onto them because you basically want to get all this information out to them, right? And you want to get everything out that you want to say and all the things you're excited about. But if you don't know who you're talking to, how do you know what's important to them, right? If I'm talking to the single mom, right, who just wants to save up for her kids' college, then I'm having a different conversation. I'm talking about, hey, this builds generational wealth. This is how the wealthy elite do it. This is how they create trust for their kids. You can do the same thing. This can be a college plan for your kids, right? If I'm talking to the busy entrepreneur who has a lot of active income, hey, this is a tax efficient investment. This is a way for you to invest that money in an income producing asset, which is an inflationary hedge, right? I'm having different conversations, but I can do that because I know my investor avatar so well. So in the investor challenge, I go through the investor avatar, I have you do this elevator pitch. The idea of an elevator pitch is not to give them everything. The idea of an elevator pitch is to like show them a tiny piece. It's like a hook, right? So then they go, passively double-digit returns, tax efficient. Wait, I like that. How do I do that? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I do this by putting together groups of investors. I think of myself kind of like the Groupon of multifamily, right? And we collectively will buy an 80 million, 100 million, $200 million asset because most people don't have $100 million lying around, right?
Yeah. And I think the mystique also tempts people to ask questions, right?
Yeah.
Having a little bit of intrigue, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like dating, right? Like when I first dated, I had to work so hard to not just like word vomit all over my husband, right? Like I was like, oh, I'm very interesting and mysterious, right? I had to like reel him in slowly before I yanked him, right?
So we have about 8 minutes left to the top of the hour. If anybody has questions they want to ask Veena, raise your hand, and yeah, let's open it up to some questions.
Do it. Sadik.
Let's see, I'm gonna switch.
Hello, I just saw you. You've been listening to me talk all day long, haven't you? See, this is the importance of showing up in the right rooms. Because he was just on a different Zoom call that I was on for like an hour and a half, and he was interacting and I saw it, and now I immediately recognize his name.
Who is that?
Being here.
Kyle?
Is it Sadik? Is that how you say it? Is that right?
Sadiq.
Sadiq?
Can you unmute yourself? Is that possible?
Unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, tell me how you pronounce your name.
It's Sadik. You got it right.
Sadik. Okay, I was totally wrong.
Yep. That's
Okay, Sadik. Hi, Sadik. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yes, I was just on your Zoom with Cody's earlier. Yes, thank you very much. I just joined the group. I'm a sub 2 student, by the way.
I love it.
Yep, I am the one that goes by Easy Unique on Facebook. So I was the one who said also in the group, I'm gonna have you here in Minnesota.
Oh, you're my Minnesota friend. Yes. Okay. I love it.
Exactly.
Is it like the Mall of America close by?
Yep, the biggest mall in
Okay.
the USA. Yes.
Say no
yes.
more. I'm there.
So thank you very much for this, and thank you for all you've been doing in the community.
Yes,
One of the things that I wanted to actually ask you a question about is that I definitely want to get you those deals. And one of the thing is that how do I get connected with those brokers? Because I posed the same question on your previous Zoom, and I thought it was LoopNet, but you said no, don't go to LoopNet.
don't
Don't
go to
go there. So
Yeah,
how do I make sure I bring you those fire deals, or go out and source those deals?
okay, so I'm gonna stay like really narrow in my lane, and then I'm gonna let someone who is way smarter than me answer the other piece of it, because I know what it is. I don't know functionally how to do it because we don't do that. So in our business, like almost all of our deals are either on market or they're from a seller that we have a relationship with. So it's building the relationship with those sellers or brokers that's really going to get the deal. Now, the challenge is if a deal is on market or listed with a broker, even in a pocket listing, if it's in my market, I already know about it because they know about us. They know who we are. They've already sent it to us. But if you can go to distressed sellers or mom and pop sellers who maybe would sell a deal that they don't have listed right now, that would be a great way to bring a deal to me that I don't have access to on my own. Now, how to do that? I know there's like so many different ways, like you can skip trace and you can like bird dog and like all these things. I'm not even going to pretend to tell you what the best way to do that is, but there are many people probably in sub 2 and in this group that can lead you better down that path.
Got it. All right. Thank you very
That
much.
helps.
It
Do
does.
you ever partner with students or people who bring you deals?
I have not to date, but I would. We've underwritten many deals with people from the community now. And for one reason or another, we don't end up winning them, or they don't end up going through, or we have to pull out of escrow or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would. I'm open to it.
Awesome.
So a quick, my last question here.
Yeah.
What is your take on building a multifamily right now in this market?
There are a lot of really smart people that build multifamily, and I think developing is a really great way to make a very solid return. I am not a developer. I am not a builder. So all of the new dev that I have been involved in has been me writing a check. Here you go, developer that knows way more about what you're doing than what I know. So I'm a passive investor into new dev projects, but I don't build myself. For me, they're a little bit too risky to bring investors into, especially with the limited knowledge base that I have. So if I were to develop, it would be with a very experienced developer as a partner.
Got it. Okay. And basically you'll be the finance person and they take care of the construction from the beginning to the end.
We'll say that again?
So basically you'll be the one writing the check. And
yeah, I write the checks. That's what I'm good for in new dev.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Hey, thank you for bringing all this fire to the Zoom. It's been awesome.
Of course.
So this Saturday, I'm going to a multifamily meetup in Dallas.
Which one? Are you at the one that yet?
What was that?
I'm speaking at one this weekend.
Oh, really? It's at the Star in Frisco, I believe.
I don't know where mine is. Maybe. Okay, that'd be cool. If you see me there, definitely come say hi.
All right, I will. But yeah, I was just curious. So it would be, I'm new to multifamily. What would you suggest, like, to focus on when I do go?
Yep. So first and foremost, you need to know which of, like, I call it like the trinity of multifamily powers, right? There's acquisition, there's capital, and there's operation. So which one of the three are you most focused on? If it's acquisitions, right? And like, that's your superpower, your strength, then when you go there, you need to meet someone who can raise capital and you need to meet someone who can operate. Okay, so you need like these 3 skill sets at a minimum. Maybe you fall into 2, and so you need to find the person with the 1 skill set you don't have. And so you need to meet those people who can partner with you so that you know where your next steps are going to be. Preferably. Oh, someone thinks this is funny. I'm a comedian. The side gig I have. Okay, you know what's funny? It's like Jody's picture, but it says Sue's name, so we don't really know who that is.
Right. I'm trying to.
Yeah, Justin. You just have to tap on the participants to mute, dude.
There are 4 Sues in this event, someone says.
Or Sue's. Wow, that is like a very popular name.
No, it's the same.
Although it would be more impressive if there were 4 Veenas.
Oh my goodness.
Sue, you are everywhere. She's omnipresent. I love that's really what I would be focusing on when you go there, is finding those partners that share the same passion, and then preferably there are 1 or 2 deals into this, so they have a little bit of experience too.
Okay, that makes sense. Appreciate it.
Are you local to Dallas, Kyle?
No, I'm actually from Ohio. I'm flying down tomorrow. So
Look at you. Well, hopefully we'll get to meet. I just bought a hotel in Ohio last year, and it's
really,
doing
where at?
Middleton.
Middleton.
It's like
I actually
out
don't know
there.
where that is at.
It's believe it or not, it's the midpoint between like Dayton and Cincinnati, I think.
Gotcha. So I'm probably 3 to 4 hours from Cincinnati.
Okay, you're far. Okay.
Yeah.
That was all of my knowledge about Ohio that I just said. So I have nothing
Yeah,
else
there's
to
not too much going on here, but yeah.
Well, the hotel's doing great, so I can't complain about Ohio.
Well, that's good. Glad to
So,
hear it.
but yeah, hopefully we'll get to meet and see each other this weekend.
Sounds good.
All right, take care. Safe travels. Hi, Christina. Long time no see. Guys, Christina and Risto, her husband, they were both on a cruise with me. And it was so fun. Things happened on that cruise that we can't.
We have to get together soon. Again,
We
that was
will.
so amazing. That was
We
so
will,
much
for
fun.
sure.
That was awesome. I have a question. So I know I told you when we were on the cruise that I just passed my real estate license
Yes.
in Georgia. So now I've been trying to market myself. I've been on Facebook, but I don't have that much of a presence on Facebook. So I now have TikTok, and now I'm starting a YouTube channel, Twitter, as much as I can. So I've been marketing myself as a realtor, but how do I incorporate as far as me wanting to bring people in and raise capital? What would be the best way? Do I separate the two? Do I put them together?
Okay, so this is always a challenging one. I think they're similar enough that you could actually marry them together. Usually I'm like, separate them, because you want to be looked at as a serious multifamily investor. And I think a lot of people don't really know whether you need a license or not to be a multifamily investor. So I think you can use it almost as like, it's like a credential for you to leverage. I don't have that same credentials. You can be like, listen, I'm a realtor licensed in Georgia, and I am an investor focused real estate broker or agent or whatever, right? I don't know what the correct terminology is, right? And then you say, one of the things that I do is I help my contacts leverage my network to get into better multifamily assets and larger deals.
Okay.
Right? Because it's really all about your network. And as a realtor, you're going to need a network anyway.
Right. So I'm trying to build that. So, okay, it's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, of course. So good to see you again.
You look great.
Thank you. Don't be a stranger.
No, I won't. I've been trying to study for this post exam, but once I get that out of the way, you'll see a lot more of me.
Okay, good. All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Christina.
Okay. Bye, Veena. Thank you for this.
You're welcome. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Veena, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for the value that you're providing us today.
Welcome. You're most welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Hey, question on, can you elaborate a little bit further on that triangle? That was such good information. I just kind of want to get a little summary of each of those roles.
Yeah.
So acquisition does kind of what, capital, etc.
So the person that's the acquisition specialist, right, is going to be the one that's going to build relationships with brokers. They're going to go out and target it. Sadek, who just came up here, he's probably your acquisition partner, it sounds like. He's trying to figure out, how do I underwrite a deal? How do I make relationships with the right people to get that deal under contract? Once it's under contract, how do we do due diligence? What do we need to plan for, right? That's the person who's the acquisitions. The capital partner is going to be the partner who is going to stack the capital, right? Like they're going to figure out what debt is going to go in place. They're going to quarterback that process with the lender. And then they're going to go out. They're going to be the one that oversees the capital raising process. If they're not the only one doing it, they're going to kind of set up the process. They're going to talk about what investors need. They're going to put together OMs. They're going to handle investor relations, all the things that run kind of in that world, right? And then you have operations, and your operations person is going to be the person who comes in after all that work is done, right? So they're the ones that are actually managing the asset. They're managing the property managers. They're deciding what rents to charge. They're deciding whether or not we need to put blue walls in or red walls in, right? So that's who your operational partner is. And I have a breakdown of all these. If you guys are in my vault, the GP roles and responsibilities, there's a template with all of this. You can go in and you can basically you can go through the exercise with your team or your partners and be like, okay, I'm going to do this and you're going to do this and she's going to do that. And then you can put them all in and it'll actually spit out an equity allocation based on those things.
Great.
Does that help?
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
I also think it warrants a discussion around the legal pitfalls of capital raising, if that's something that someone chooses to do, because it is so nuanced. You are beholden to the SEC.
Yes.
There is a lot that can get you in trouble. So I know Veena has a whole series in her vault around that. And so if capital raising is something that intrigues you, go check that out for sure.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah. Any other questions? Lance, you got any questions, final remarks?
Yeah, I think we want to be respectful of your time, Veena, and I just had one kind of final and closing. I wanted to thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate your time, and you've been amazing as usual.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I just had one final question for you. What inspirational quotes do you think of to keep you going when you get down? Do you have anything that you can share with us?
I mean, so many. I'm that person that loves to quote everything, right? So I love the quote, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is today. And it's because whenever I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm too late. I'm too old. I'm too far into this. I'm like, no, because what if I would have thought that 10 years, 11 years ago when I quit corporate America, right? I wouldn't be here today. And, there's that other one that's very similar. Apparently, I know a lot of quotes about trees because there's a one that's somebody today is sitting in the shade of somebody's thoughts from 20 years ago, right? And so I just think it's not too late to get started. It's, and then I also totally believe that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you cannot win a lottery if you don't play the lottery, right? You cannot be a successful investor if you don't invest. And you're going to make mistakes and you're going to run into issues, but you have a whole community around you that can support you and help you through it. So lean on them, find those good partners, find the people that you love working with and interacting with and the people you trust, and go and, like Pace says, go make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lance, I appreciate you inviting me on this. I have to say, you guys should know how special Lance is to me, because I very strictly, as a rule, do not take any calls from 5:30 to 7:30 Central, because it's the only time I ever see my kids. And I travel so much that this is the only time I carve out. But when Lance asked me, I was like, for you, I have to. And so my admin was so totally shocked. She was like, wait, really? You're sure? Do you want me to reschedule? I was like, no, it's fine. We're going to do this for Lance. So thank you, Lance.
Oh, thank you so much. That means the world to me. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you
a ton. All right.
So I just want to end it on this, Veena. I'm the kind of the other half. I'm Damon. I stay quiet on this one, but I always like to say thank you for your time. Time is the most important thing in the world that we have. And when you're willing to give it to others, it's the most meaningful expression that we can give as humans, right? And I truly appreciate humans that try to give back to other humans. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And hopefully we'll cross paths again. I can't wait to talk.
We will.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Not part of Veena's Facebook group, it's Mastering Multifamily with Veena Jetti. So go join.
Come hang out. Yeah. We have a meetup coming up. We have 2 next week, one in Houston on Wednesday. I think Elizabeth and Jared are in this call. They're coordinating that. And then we have one on Saturday morning in Orange County or LA, somewhere in Southern California. So you guys should join. Would love to see you guys in person. And as Sadek said, we're gonna try to figure out one to go to Minnesota this year. That's the goal.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
so much.
much.
Thanks,
Take care.
Thanks,
Dana.
Tina.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks, Veena.
Bye.